You might not think about this often, but there comes a moment in life when you stop long enough to look back and realize your journey was never built by you alone. I know for some of you listening, especially if you're a high achiever woman like me, your first reaction might be, wait a minute, Catherine. I work hard for what I am. And trust me, I understand that because I believe in hard work. I know what it feels like to stay late, to sacrifice, to prove yourself over and over again, and to carry responsibilities that most people never see. I know what it feels like to earn things, but I also think there comes a point where life humbles us a little and reminds us that somewhere along the way, somebody opened a door. Somebody looked at us and saw something we couldn't yet see in ourselves. Somebody gave us a chance. And the interesting thing is that we don't always recognize it in the moment. It's not because we are ungrateful. Sometimes life is just happening. Sometimes we are in survival mode. Sometimes we are so focused in getting through the season we are in that we never stop enough to look around us. Then, years later, something happens, and all of a sudden, you start connecting dots that you never connected before. Welcome to At What Point, the podcast where we dive into the real, raw, and rewarding journey of personal and professional growth. I'm Catherine, your host, here to guide you through mindset shifts, powerful aha moments, and the resilience it takes to thrive no matter what life throws your way. Whether you're climbing the corporate ladder, taking the leap into entrepreneurship, or just looking for that boost of motivation, you are in the right place. Let's dive in. Last week, my son Luca graduated from high school. And if you have listened to me before, you know that Luca has autism and is high functioning. One thing about Luca is that he's incredible at speaking publicly. He articulates himself so well, has a very advanced vocabulary, and honestly, reads more than 40 books a year, more than most adults I know will read in several years combined. Well, Luca was selected to give the graduation speech, and I remember sitting there in the front row of the chapel, feeling excited because I knew he would do a great job. My daughter Nicole had flown in from New York. Luca's dad was next to me, and I was looking forward to hearing him speak and celebrating this huge milestone because graduation itself felt like a big deal. What I didn't realize was that I was about to relive years of our lives sitting in that chapel. Here is the thing. After the pandemic, Luca went through one of the hardest seasons of his life. And if I'm being honest, one of the hardest seasons of mine too. There were 3 years where I remember feeling like our entire world was collapsing around us. He became aggressive and was expelled from 2 schools. These were not traditional schools either. These were private schools for children with disabilities and children on the autism spectrum. I remember sitting in meetings and wondering, what happens now? I remember the fear. I remember the exhaustion. I remember feeling like door after door just kept closing. And if you are a parent listening to this, you know there is a different kind of pain that comes when you are watching your child struggle and there is nothing you can do to immediately fix it. You start wondering if people will only see the difficult moments. You start wondering if anyone will look beyond what is happening right now and see the person underneath it all. I lived in that wondering for 3 years. And then, when I least expected, someone answered it. Her name was Miss Jillian. She was Lucas' principal, and even during some of his most difficult periods, she didn't walk away. She kept showing up. She kept giving him chances. She saw past the behavior and kept her eyes on the kid underneath it. Eventually, she opened her own schools and Luca followed her there. Standing at that podium during his graduation speech, Luca talked about forgiveness and second chances. He talked about spending so many nights wondering why people kept giving up on him, why no one seemed willing to look past the hard moments and see who he actually was. And then he talked about Miss Jillian, how she never stopped believing in him, how she kept giving him opportunities when others had already moved on. He said he would always be grateful because she gave him a life opportunity. And as I sat there in that front row, listening to my son connect those dots out loud, I realized I wasn't crying because he graduated. I was crying because I was watching him become someone who understood at 17 years old that one person choosing to believe in you can redirect the entire course of your life. And as I sat there thinking about that, I started reflecting on my own journey. I know the corporate game very well. I learned it and I play it. I understood the unspoken rules. I knew how to identify key decision makers. I knew how to position myself around projects that matter. I knew how to build relationships and visibility because promotions do not happen only because someone works hard. There are conversations happening in rooms where you are not sitting and people are talking about your name. I understood that really well. But none of that positioning, none of that strategy, none of that hard work would have taken me where it did without Kelly Prather. Kelly brought me into her team to help her bring a corporate project to life. That was the first opportunity. I worked with her, I delivered, and she saw enough in how I worked to bring me closer. She hired me as her assistant, and that proximity changed everything. I was inside real decisions. I was watching leadership move up close. I was learning things you simply cannot learn from the outside. And because she trusted me with that access, I grew into it. And eventually I was promoted to senior director. That entire path existed because one person decided I was worth the bet. So when my department grew and I built my team of 14 incredible women, I found myself paying attention to people who simply needed somebody to believe in them. I hired the woman who spent years taking care of her family and professionally described her as a head of household on her resume. I hired the woman who had moved here from Puerto Rico with a medical degree and a willingness to learn. I hired my assistant who had once been an HR director and had stepped away from work to take care of her family. Because I have always believed that people are bigger than the story sitting on a resume. And because I knew exactly what it meant when someone chose you anyway. Then entrepreneurship came into my life and humbled me in ways I never expected. I really thought I was going to figure this out by myself. I thought I would work hard, put my head down, do the work, and somehow magically understand entrepreneurship. What I didn't account for was how different it feels to start over without infrastructure around you, no team, no title, no built-in reason for anyone to trust you. The same instincts that had served me for years in corporate suddenly felt like they were working in a foreign language. And in the middle of trying to find my footing, I did what I had always done. I looked for the room where the right people were gathered, and I found a way to get inside it. During the pandemic, I became obsessed with getting into Clubhouse. Some of you listening may remember Clubhouse because I was doing everything possible to get an invitation. I was joining Facebook groups and entering giveaways trying to get access. Eventually, I got in and I found this room that I absolutely loved. Diane was leading the moderator group, and I was constantly showing up, constantly listening, constantly participating. Then one day, I reached out, and Diane gave me a chance. She brought me in as a moderator, and that changed everything for me. Every single client I signed during the pandemic came from those clubhouse rooms. And I want you to understand what that means. I am a high ticket coach. These were not small transactions. These were women making serious investments, and they made those investments because they had spent real time in those rooms listening to me think, teach, and show up consistently before they ever had a direct conversation with me. That opportunity also grew my Instagram in ways that would have taken me much longer to build on my own. Diane didn't have to let me in. She did. And it changed my trajectory. Then later, when I started opening my own rooms, I found myself doing the exact same thing she had done for me. I started giving opportunities to people who wanted one. I handed people the microphone. I pulled in people who had something to say and just needed someone to give them the floor. That is when it became clear to me that the same truth I had lived in corporate was alive in entrepreneurship too. Whether you're climbing a corporate ladder or building something from scratch, there will always be relationships that open doors strategy alone cannot open. There will always be people whose belief in you changes what becomes possible. And here's the thing. The woman I watch build businesses that actually last, real referrals, real reputation, real communities around them, they are always the one who give without keeping score. They understand that how you show up for other people becomes your reputation long before your marketing does. The person you pour into today is connected to the client who finds you next year. That is how businesses grow, friend. So as you keep building, I want you to carry something with you. Do not get so locked into the next milestone that you stop noticing the people around you. Because right now, there is probably someone sitting exactly where you once sat. Someone wondering if they are enough. Someone wondering if anybody sees them. Someone hoping somebody gives them a chance. And maybe that person is waiting for you. I want to leave you with this. Keep chasing your goals. Keep chasing your career. Keep building your business. Keep evolving. But as you keep growing, remember who you are. Remember the people who help you get there. And when life gives you the opportunity to believe in somebody before they fully believe in themselves, take it. Because the business you build with that kind of reputation behind, it is one that lasts. So let me ask you, at what point do you stop measuring success only by how high you climb and start measuring it by how many people you brought with you? And at what point do you realize that the opportunity you were once praying for might now be yours to give? That choice, friend, is yours. No one else gets to write that ending. Thanks for joining another episode of At What Point. I hope today's conversation sparked some inspiration for your journey of growth and transformation. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to visit katherinebeltran.com/podcast for show notes, special discounts on coaching packages, and freebies to help you keep moving forward. And last but not least, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a show. See you next time.